An essential aspect of preparing for an ultra-distance cycling event, such as the London-Edinburgh-London, is a gradual and progressive increase in both the training intensity and volume. Do too much too soon and you may develop an injury, or peak too soon and then struggle during the actual event. Therefore, following the Super Randonneur series with its progressive increase in distance is a valuable training guide. Our journey along the Super Randonneur series for 2025 has not been as smooth as we had hoped. Germaine developed an issue with her stomach during her first 200-kilometer brevet.
It was really hard. I found it really difficult today. One of my worst 200s, I think. I struggled from start to finish. Just didn't have the energy today. Probably didn't eat enough yesterday.
And then developed iliotibial band friction syndrome on her 300-kilometer brevet, both of which significantly impacted her performance. The only reassuring aspect was that she had completed the distance and so had some real-life miles in her legs. 2 weeks after her 300-kilometer brevet, we decided to challenge ourselves with a 400-kilometer brevet. Cool temperatures were once again predicted, with a high of 10 degrees Celsius and a low of 3 degrees Celsius. However, these were significantly much lower with the wind chill. There was also a strong southeasterly wind predicted, but we hoped that it would assist us in the morning and abate in the evening to allow a comfortable finish. With this optimistic view, we set out on our own for the 400-kilometer brevet. Riding north at the start, we took full advantage of the tailwind. We averaged almost 30 kilometers per hour and had plenty of opportunity to enjoy the beautiful prairie views. Germaine took utmost care of her knees to try to prevent a recurrence of the symptoms of the iliotibial band friction syndrome, dousing them with anti-inflammatory gels and trying to reduce as much of the local pressure on the knees as she could.
I think it's getting worse.
Oh God, yeah, I'll take it off.
Yeah, so it's going to be really cold. But the cream is not helping.
Yeah, take it off.
Yeah, I'm going to take it off.
As soon as it was warm enough, Germaine stripped away her long tights to avoid any excessive pressure on the knees. It was still cold, and I worried that the cold may stiffen her muscles, but being the determined randonneur that she always is, she pushed through the cold conditions. At our most northerly aspect of the ride, we crossed an old pedestrian bridge with great views across the South Saskatchewan River. It was midday when we made the turnaround to head due south. The wind direction remained constant and we had alternating head and cross headwinds of 20 to 30 kilometers per hour, fortunately with very few gusts.
That's some meat, or they got sausage roll or hot dogs or something.
Yeah,
Okay,
and something sweet maybe too.
Okay.
And Coke and
Okay.
juice or something.
Okay.
The headwinds made for heavy going and our average speed dwindled to just 14 kilometers per hour. The flat prairies offered no resistance to the wind, and we were continuously buffeted. As midday changed to late afternoon, the shadows grew longer and the temperatures continued to fall. The harsh riding conditions began to take their toll on us. After almost 145 kilometers of relentless headwinds, we were almost completely worn out. The abatement of the wind had not materialized, and the weather forecast was that the wind would continue to gust throughout the night. So when we eventually reached the southernmost point of our brevet, exhausted from the continuous headwinds and plummeting temperatures, we had to make a decision about whether to continue the battle against the strong crosswinds for another 125 kilometers back to base or stop and call a friend. After much soul-searching at our control point, the 7-Eleven in Rosetown, Jermaine decided to check into a hotel to rest for the night, while I continued on to pick up the vehicle in Saskatoon.
I'll see you.
A bit of room, so I'm okay.
Okay. I love you.
Love you.
Thank you very much again for that. I should.
Go safely, huh?
Will do. Sorry.
I think that was the correct decision, as riding home against the crosswinds with freezing temperatures, I thought that Jermaine probably would not have survived these conditions with her bare legs. The cold would have definitely caused them to seize, and any amount of time in the freezing conditions would have been a risk for hypothermia and even pneumonia. I encountered sporadic snow and freezing rain showers en route. These are terms commonly used in the prairies and usually indicate super miserable riding conditions. After what seemed to be my slowest 400 kilometer ever, I eventually completed the brevet a few hours before the cutoff time. I retrieved our vehicle and drove back to Rosetown to pick up Jermaine. The difficult conditions and the DNF status did not boost Jermaine's morale. As far as she was concerned, our LEL preparations were at their lowest point ever. We both seriously doubted as to whether we had the correct amount of conditioning to seriously challenge the LEL. However, with just 70 days to go to the event, we still had some time to rescue the situation. We decided that the best way forward would be to tackle the beast head-on. Go to England and just ride the course. Experience firsthand what it was like to ride through their headwinds, their endless climbs, their damp conditions, and drink warm beer. And that is exactly what we have done. We have traveled to London to see if we have what it takes to ride the LEL. We intend to ride from London to Edinburgh over 5 days, and then take the train back to London, and then make a decision as to whether this is something we have a realistic chance of completing, or whether we should rather invest in a nice shiny pair of knitting needles and take up a new hobby. Join us as we tackle our next adventure in the UK. Remember to like and subscribe, and until we meet again, please ride safely.